Circle of Love Wreath Company. I thought I would hop on here and go live today and make a grapevine Christmas wreath. We're going to use this bell as our center piece for the wreath, and we have several other things that we're going to add to it. Um, Please let me know where you're from. Let me know if you want. Is this still waiting? Okay. This 34 seconds live. Okay. All right. Sorry, last time I had issues with the sound. So my husband's checking in our office and he's checking my sound for me because I want to make sure that you can hear me and it's not like my gingerbread wreath where my mic, I think, fell off of me and you couldn't hear me quite as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Uh, I like to when I come on live, I like to demonstrate and show you. I do want to put a plug in for my coach, Candy Jung. She's with Candy's Creations, and she's has a design school called Candy Creative Designs. I think I'm not quite sure, but if you're interested, just put a comment in the comments, and I'll put in her link so you can go and check out her design school. It does a monthly subscription; you have to pay for it. So let's go ahead and get started. As I said, we're going to do a grapevine. I've already cleaned up my grapevine. I'll go ahead and put it a little bit closer so you can see, hopefully, a little bit better here. Get my camera adjusted. I've already cleaned up my grapevine and taken all the twigs and everything off so that it's nice and clean and we can go ahead and get started. I haven't glued my bell because I wanted to show you how to do this. This is a bell. I just bought it at Hobby Lobby. It already had the rope attached. All I did was just trim the top right here. And then this is what we call a U pin. So I'm going to take it, it's the first thing I'm going to attach. And I'm going to take it right here and I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue and I'm going to run it through the rope. Well, here we go. And I think what I'll do instead of put my glue on that is just come up here and just put glue around the U pin and on the back of the rope. I'm going to push my U pin down with my scissors. And that should hold it. So it is centered here. The next thing I'm going to do, and before I do this, I want to tell you who my inspiration. Heather Williams designed a design, a grapevine wreath last week. So I want to give her credit. She's my inspiration for doing this. She had a different bell. We're going to start with the greenery. This is going to be my base for my grapevine. And I got this greenery from Hobby Lobby. And I bend it because we want it to kind of go along the shape here. And it looks like my go down here. There we go. This isn't staying. Maybe it will. We'll see. And we're going to build out our base. You can see it's a long pick. And one thing you might want to do, this has um, a cloth binding. So what I like to do is just put a little bit of glue above where I'm going to cut, and I'll show you why. It still didn't work. This is why. The cloth comes off. And so if you have the glue there, you can kind of just kind of wrap it on around and get it to stay. Just like that. So this one we bent this way. This one we're going to bend this way. Spread out the stems here. Yeah, this way. I'll tell you why I changed. You see how this is covered here? Look at the back. This one wasn't. That's when I went back in and I changed it. Yeah. Yes. Work a little bit higher. I think. I'll probably have to cut that off up there. Let me show you, friends. Whenever you're using zip ties on a grapevine, you never want to go down here. You want to go between the stems and put your zip tie between them. Because if you don't, then it can slip out. That's why I went ahead and added some glue at the very top. So I'm going to go right in here. Here, we're going to zip tie this one. And I go from behind, friends, so that it doesn't show, because you never want to put the zip tie on the outside, because then you see it in your design. So you always want to go from behind when you're trying to attach your zip ties. This is probably a little easier if you did it when it was flat, but I wanted to have it up on my stand so I could show you. Save your stems because they work out great when you're trying to make attachments to go on for arrangements or in your wreath. So this one went this way, this one's going to go this way. And we're going to come right behind that one there. I used some longer zip ties this time to tie these because I had a hard time a while ago getting it. And remember what I said about getting in between the stems. All I'm doing is arranging the stems now, I bet you can see, because we don't want to cover up our bell. And we're going to have a big bow that goes right here too. The next thing I'm going to add is some greenery. And this greenery I bought from Home Goods, or the at home store. I'm sorry, not Home Goods, the at home store. It was $7.99. This greenery from Hobby Lobby was $4.99, and then it's 50% off. The bell was $11.99, and it was 50% off too. So I'm just going to tear. All you have to do with these is just kind of tear down. I'm going to count my pieces. I'm going to go ahead and just break them all off. And all I'm doing is taking it and tearing it. And what I'm going to do is just start going underneath here. And this just adds a different texture to it. So I'm going to come right under this one and just kind of line them up. And 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pieces. So I want to make sure I spread them out evenly on both sides. And what I like to do is just kind of mirror whatever I've done over there. Then I like to come over here and do. And they don't have to be the same. They can be off just a little bit. It's not really going to matter. So that one's kind of on the outside. So this one's going to come kind of right here on the inside. I like to go on the outside, inside, outside. I like to alternate whenever I'm adding greenery to wreath. This one's on the inside, so this one's going to kind of go on the outside. And I'm lifting up these so I can go underneath them. Whenever you're working with grapevines, you always want to make sure your stems get inside the grapevine. I'll move the camera a little bit closer. I have another one of these if I need to get it out and cut some more. And this one, I think I'm going to go right here in the middle. Let's do a dry run and see if we like it. Mm. When you're doing this, friends, a lot of times you just have to kind of play with what we're trying to add to it and do dry runs and see if you like it there. That one, I don't like it there. Let's see if I like it better over here. Right in here, we need something. And it's really hard, as I was telling you, to make sure you get your greenery or whatever you're adding to your grapevine. You want to make sure that it's inside. I'm gonna slide it right up and under here in the middle. I'll come back and readjust these later. You'll notice, remember I told you don't worry about the zip ties. I just covered that one up. Whenever you're buying greenery, friends, it's always wise to buy 3 stems because typically you'll always use 3 unless you cut it up like I'm doing with these. And we're just going to use part of 2. We're going to use one and part of a second one. Remember, our bow's going to go here on top, so it's not really going to matter. Let's bring that one up there. And I'm going to put this aside because I may want to use it later. The next piece of greenery I'm going to use is one of my favorites. And it has these little bells that kind of go with the, or pods that go with the bell. I'm going to come in here with this and kind of bend this down. And again, this I bought from Jam's Designs. You'll notice as I'm creating, I buy from different places. Jam's Designs, if you're part of the crew, you get a 35% discount on your greens or on anything you buy, not your greens. I was thinking of this. Now, this I want up here. My bow's going to be right here, and I want this kind of coming out of my bow. Let me see if I can get it where you can see right there. This has several wires, and what I usually like to do is kind of take one and just wrap around it, just so it's nice and secure. And again, I spread this out. We want to turn our leaves around so you can see the leaves. And this is going to go right here. And what I'm going to do is just come in here and use my hot glue, my gun. This one's going to go right in there. I can tell that's a little bit too long. See my stem? It's a little bit too long. I'm going to trim it at an angle. And it's going to go right through here. Right. I pre-made my bow, and our bow's going to go right here. So we're going to go ahead and add our bow next. If you're curious on how to make bows, I have several bows on my YouTube channel, how to's that you can watch. I'm not quite sure how this is going to work. It may be too big. I don't like a stick on it, so we might rethink this and just use a zip tie. I had learned that a lot of times with the grapevines, you can use a floral pin and attach it with the wire around that, but I don't like it, friends. So I'm just gonna cut that off. We're going to get a long zip tie and we're going to come through here. And we'll come back later on. I just wanted to add, because typically what you need to do is add your largest items or your elements to your wreath first. And so that's why I wanted to go ahead and get my bow in here. Let's go ahead and dovetail some of the ribbon. I'm bending it up again. I love to add different textures of greenery. So I think we're going to go maybe right in here. So we're kind of layering it. And this one's going to go over here about the same distance. When you're doing this, you have to kind of spread the other greenery out of the way so you can see your grapevine there. I have some of this birch. I bought this at Hobby Lobby. And what I'm going to do is just kind of add this in between to bring out the cream in my bell. We're going to come right through here. While I'm doing this, I just want to ask you and get your opinion. Let me know in the comments. Every year I make divinity candy for Christmas. I make turtles too, but divinity is probably the hardest candy to make. And so last year, I made a video of it, of me making divinity. And so I thought I would do a YouTube um, tutorial on it. Because if you love divinity, and if you've ever tried to make it, you know that it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And how did I learn to make divinity? Well, it goes way back to my grandmother. My grandmother always made divinity, and if she was living, she'd be close to 100 years old. So, and they didn't have a lot of money, so she never had a candy thermometer. So she would just use a trick, and I'll show that trick in my video on how to make it without a candy thermometer. I also learned, and a lot of people know how to do this. There's a lot of people that do a lot of things, and they're like candy as far as wreaths. They're a lot more professional than I am. Um, but if you've ever wondered how to put up fresh peas, I have a video on that too that I made this year on putting up black-eyed peas or field peas, whatever you want to call them. Let me just do that. I like it better. That way you can see the veil. But notice how when I made my bow, I made my ribbon extra long because sometimes I like it trailing off the side. But in this instance, I don't. So I cut it quite a bit off. Now I'm going to go back because I like it coming out like this better. So, as I was saying, I was going to do a how-to video on how to make divinity. So if you're interested, subscribe to my channel and I'll try to get working on that so that you'll have it in time for Christmas in case you want to try. I'm still not convinced that I like berries, but this is what we have so far. Here where you can see it kind of at a distance. I can tell I have holes right up through here. So I have another one of these bushes. So we're going to add that. Another thing that's really good that you can add is this pine bush. You can buy this from Hobby Lobby too. And it's really good about plugging in holes. So we'll use this first, and then I think I'll go back and find that other bush, and I'll just show you what I'm talking about here. Sorry, you're having to look at the back of my head. You're amazing. This bush is only $2.99, and then you get it 50% off at Hobby Lobby. So you can see that it really does a lot as far as filling in. I'm not going to commit to that yet. We're just going to try it and see. I'm looking for another piece that's very similar to that one. That's what I'm doing. I still need something right there. I'm going to go back and commit to these. Remember, I said you want to make sure you get it inside the wreath. And if you can't, just like that wouldn't fit inside it, what I do is go back and I add a pick to it because this pick is skinnier and it'll go down into the wreath. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to all of them. A lot of people have pick machines, but I'm not at that point yet. I'm just working on a budget. I'm just doing like what you would be doing at home. So this is easier for you to see how to solve problems. And pick machines are really expensive. So all I do is buy these floral picks from Walmart, Hobby Lobby, any floral design store will have them, Joann's, pretty much any of them. After I pick it, I go back after I twist this around like this. See the wire? I add hot glue to my wire. That gives it a little bit extra security so it won't come undone. Where else do we have one? Guess that's it. Back over here. Then we'll get our floral tape and we'll cover it up. So you just stretch it. Put it with one finger and stretch your tape. That activates the glue. That one's ready. So anytime you're not sure if your pick is long enough to go in between the stems of this, that you're using your greenery pick, always add a floral pick to it. So this one I think came over here. And we may have to trim our floral pick, and that's okay. But I'd rather make sure it gets down into the greenery or the grapevine. And that one went in front of it. So let's go ahead and add some glue. I'm looking back here so I can get my grapevine. There. And that little puppy's not going to go anywhere. Look over here. I have to get on my tiptoes to see where it's going in at. And I'm holding my bow back because I sure don't want it to get on my bow. And it's getting at the very top. This one I'm going to have to flip. If it doesn't want to go in your grapevine, sometimes you just have to go back and trim your pick. There it goes. I think we're done, friends. I'm going to go back. I may go back and add the pine cones. I don't know, but I don't want to keep you here any longer whenever I'm not sure. I can tell by looking at my picture in there, the bow is going to have to go, and I'm going to have to put in a different bow. But stay tuned, check back on my page, and you'll see a picture of my wreath, and you'll probably see a short of the wreath also. So stay tuned. We'll see what we do with the bow. That's what happens. It's just when you're live, it's just hard to know. And when you make your bow ahead of time without trying it, it's hard to know. Thank you, friends. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Circle of Love Wreath Company on YouTube. I also have an Etsy shop where I put my latest creations. You can see right back over here. That's a red bird wreath that's going to be going in my Etsy shop this weekend. Um, I have my gingerbread and my gingerbread arrangements in there. So check out my Etsy shop, Circle of Love Wreath. I hope you have a great weekend. Take care, and we'll see you later. Bye bye.